All right, welcome back to Three Swords Gaming. After a rather long hiatus, I had some stuff pre-recorded and kind of tried to space it out over the last couple weeks because I haven't been able to record for the last couple weeks. But now, back and ready to continue our Guild Wars 2 personal story playthrough. And we were in the middle of Icebrood Saga, so we had just finished up War Eternal, which was taking place here in Grothmar Valley, and that was packaged as a prologue to Icebrood Saga. Now I don't know, but the story starts here. I don't consider it background story. I consider it the start of the story. So I'm not sure why this was a prologue versus the first chapter. I suppose ArenaNet was, that was a marketing thing. Under any circumstances, we've completed this prologue to Icebrood Saga, and as part of that, there was a letter that came in here upon completion. You can see that was a couple weeks ago when I finished up War Eternal over here. And it includes the trailer for Icebrood Saga. So let's go ahead and watch that real quick as we prepare to dive into the next step for Icebrood Saga. I don't know if this is going to open up in a window or what is this going to do. Okay, we're not going to do that because I have no desire to try and go to YouTube right now. We'll skip that then and simply jump to the next portion of the story, which should be moving us along on the question of what is Bangar up to and Ryland. Apparently something to do with Jormag, and this probably is not optimal in terms of the whole Elder Dragon things with the idea that Jormag is going to suddenly get involved in all this is probably not something we want to have happen. So let's get that triggered over here. Icebrood Saga, continue the story.
Commander, it's General Soulkeeper. Can you hear me?
Almora, we've been trying to reach you. Bangar's after Jormag.
I have good
He thinks he
news. The blizzard has finally let up.
Yes, but we need to stop Bangar from trying to...
I know about Bangar's aspirations. He passed through here not long ago. You may still be able to catch up with him. But first, I need your help here at Jorah's Keep.
What kind of help?
Bring whoever you can. We'll talk there. Soulkeeper out.
Ritlock, did that seem strange to you?
Yeah. I'll get a vigil squad ready to go. Just give the word and we'll check it out.
Alright, so indeed, that should seem weird, even at the time, when this initially launched. Certainly, listening to that, one should have probably said to themselves, like, wow, that doesn't sound quite right. Kind of a weird thing going on there. Let's jump over to Black Citadel, see if we can figure out what's going on with Almora. I did very much like these first few chapters of Icebrood Saga. My playthrough on Icebrood Saga at the time that it was coming out was interrupted by a deployment. So I had to kind of catch up when I came back. I believe, if I remember correctly, War Eternal was before I left. This chapter may have been before I left, but then I was gone for a while and had to catch up later.
It'll be good to see Almora's War Master again. Javi's been stationed at the Keep, while Almora helped us fight Kralkatorrik. Bet she hated being cooped up like that.
Seems like you know Javi pretty well.
We trained in necromancy together a long time ago. She's incredibly efficient, but she has some big shoes to fill. Especially given that the Keep is named after her ancestor.
Have you talked to her recently? Did she say anything about Almora?
No. But I overheard that call. I'm sure things will be clear when we talk to her. Whenever you're ready.
One of the nice things about Icebrood Saga is that it's a bit darker than the usual. And you look at the whole Guild Wars 2 story, like it all has potential to be dark. They just don't really that's not the aspect of the story that they generally tend to to focus on, they tend to more make things kind of silly and childish.
Give me a break. I could barely see in all this snow. It's a miracle we landed at all.
Good job, relief crew pilot. We're proud of you. They generally tend to keep it a little bit comic booky. In Icebrood Saga, they are a little more comfortable going with some of the darker aspects of the story, and that manifests positively
Whatever Elmora
during
needs
this
must be urgent.
during this
As long
phase
as
of
it
the
gets
story.
us closer to stomping Bangar into the snow.
Brimstone, we agreed we would postpone judgment until we talked to him.
You agreed. I just want my bow back. It's weird being here again. After we fought Jormag, I thought I left this place behind. Left my guildmates behind. Guess I had to face them again eventually. Maybe now I can make up for everything. Bet Jobby's treated them well.
So I'm glad we get to address that aspect of Bram's backstory.
And no one here to greet us. This isn't like Almora. Or Javi.
Something feels off. Stay alert.
They could have done even more with it, just the same. I am glad that we address it. Because remember, in order to come back to us and come back to Dragon's Watch, Bram abandoned a guild that he founded. Just straight, like, as far as we can tell, just straight abandoned them, which is pretty despicable behavior, and doesn't reflect well on the commander either, to be quite honest. That was the commander's expectation is not cool.
Maybe they're on patrol.
The entire camp?
Something about this place makes my fur stand on end.
Not a single guard. This isn't right.
The barracks are in here. Should we check it out?
Let's check it out.
Spirits.
Feel the fury.
Yeah, it's like really good, right? The music, the dead bodies, this is not typical ArenaNet stuff, but it's good, and it should be more. I'm not saying this has to be all the time, but like we should get more of this than we do. Like this is really, Icebrood Saga is the only time we really get this.
We're locked in.
You felt that push, right? Seems like some sort of defense system.
I felt it before. Raven's spirit magic. Might be something Jobby set up. She follows Raven.
Commander, we tried opening the door from the outside, but no luck. We're going to check the other buildings while you find a way out.
Look at this place. Who did this?
So if we take a good look, this is just like piles of like vigil bodies, right? Or packed bodies, I suppose. Although they look to be predominantly vigil. What do we got going on here? We can actually investigate this.
She was
Large gashes.
one of my guildmates.
Brutal.
Garm used to rest his head in her lap.
I'm sorry, Bram.
She followed me because she thought I was our people's savior. They all did. Now I'll never get to make it right. I did. I failed them.
What?
Didn't you hear? Nothing. Never mind.
Yeah, that's a nice touch too. Later on, that's going to become a lot more like aggressive and overt, and almost loses some of its charm.
It opened.
What is this? It looks like some kind of lens.
Look at the silhouette. Raven. This might be our way out. I remember seeing a totem by the door.
Okay, what they're talking about was that scepter that was here on the table. These notes are part of an achievement. 101, Javi's Raven Lens research notes.
Commander, stay back. Oh.
He's dead. The Vigil put up a fight.
Sons of Svanir. Did they do all of this? Always brushed them off as fanatics, preaching their stupid dragon gospel, even in Holbrook. I never thought.
I don't know that we're going to pursue the achievement with the scepter, but it is, like, interesting stuff. Injured son of Svanir. So, and we can see more Svanir here. So certainly, At least some of the Vigil put up a fight, right?
Who's there?
Commander? You okay?
I must be hearing things.
What's up with this dude? Died sleeping. Bummer, man. Nobody likes that. Weird, look at that guy. Yeah, and the body is frozen on top. That's cool. By cool, I mean not cool for him, but yeah, cool for us.
It worked. Looks like we were right. Wonder what else it can do.
We found the Vigil soldiers. They're all dead.
Burn me. Elmora too? We didn't see her.
We didn't look that hard, though.
In the other buildings either.
Or Javi. Both the General and her War Master are missing. That strike you as weird.
Hey, take a look at this.
Oh, everybody go running. What's up, Margie?
I found these marks under the snow. Looks like someone was dragged off.
Think it's Elmora or Javi?
Possibly. And judging by the scuff marks, there was a struggle, which means they were alive.
Then we need to go out there and track them down. Whoever they are.
You forget what we're here for? Every second we spend searching, Bangar takes Ryland farther from us.
You want to leave Elmora to die? That's one of your own out there, Ritlock. One of ours.
Ryland is ours too.
So I like this from a storytelling perspective that we have.
I'll stay here and keep investigating. With any luck, I'll find something that can help.
All right, you do
Ritlock
that,
and I
Marjorie.
will send the relief crew to scout the area.
I'm coming with you. If any of my guildmates survived, I need to find them.
Bring them back, Commander. We'll be waiting.
So again, the whispers I think are pretty cool. They become a bit much later. I prefer them to be like real subtle like that.
This is my fault. All of it. If I hadn't lost my bow...
You mean if you hadn't gotten blackout drunk on a diplomacy mission?
Don't blame him, Brimstone. Ryland knew what he was doing. Loosen the target up, drop their defenses. I taught him that trick myself.
Cool. So yeah, the whispers, cool. And as far as the story goes, like I was saying, I like that we're not just like single-mindedly like dragons. Now, obviously, I don't need to tell you. I don't think it's a spoiler to say ultimately we're going to end up continuing to work on dragons. After all, we still have End of Dragons yet to come in terms of story progression, and only now, as we start looking at the next expansion in a month or so, well, a little over a month, in August 2023, are we finally seeing like major plot lines that are divergent from the dragons. So we know where we're going to end up here, but the fact that at this point in time it looks like it is other things, these whispers notwithstanding, that's a good feeling, and it shows the potential that they have now that they can finally walk away from the dragons. I didn't mind the dragons being a thing. Going all the way back to the first game and Eye of the North, like we knew that the dragons were going to be a thing that dominated Guild Wars 2 when Guild Wars 2 launched. The fact that it ended up dominating Guild Wars 2 for 10 years maybe wasn't something that we could have foreseen at that time. Bram, you got more to say, buddy? Yeah, your guildmates. Yeah, you haven't talked about them much. Let's hear all about it. They followed me all the way to Jormag. Good on them, I guess. I don't know that Bram would be like the first person that I would just choose to follow, but the Norn veered him as like a chosen one, right? Because he cracked the tooth, so it's understandable that they would do that. They believed he could beat the dragon. Well, from a prophecy point of view, that was indicated. When I failed, I couldn't face them. Not a good sign in terms of leadership figure, but okay. We're going to kind of let him off the hook there. He doesn't let himself off the hook, though, which is good. Again, I think how unlikable Bram is kind of overstated. Certainly, there were moments when they tried to make him unlikable, but in the grand spectrum of things, or the grand scheme of things, like I don't think he was quite as unlikable as the community liked to make him out. They finally found a leader who kept her promises. Almora and Javi deserved them more than I did. Well, probably so. Probably so. Like, just being real, right? So, what is that going to mean for us? Like, how's that going to manifest? Let's find out now that we're in the new map. So one of the nice things about this chapter of the story rolling out, if you view, Icebrood
Okay.
Saga.
Whoever took Javi and Almora would have left tracks. So we just need to look for those.
Okay, that's
Are
good
you
advice,
okay? You
Bram.
seem distracted.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Normally with the Living World stuff, and this is essentially Living World Season 5, right? They gave it its own name, and that's because they were trying to package it as like expansion like content. But at the end of the day, it was another Living World season. Um, we'll see how these mini expansions end up looking, if they look like Living World or they look like expansions. I'm kind of interested to see how that really manifests. But they tried to package Icebrood Saga more like an expansion, and it didn't feel like one. It is essentially Living World Season 5, right? So generally, Living World, you play a chunk before you gain access to the new map. You can see the very first instance leads us into our new map here. Now, they do follow a model with Bajora Marches that they followed in the past, like with Living World Season 2, and that they would follow again later with Guile Delves at the end of End of Dragons, as well as with Drizzlewood, which is like, where is Drizzlewood? Isn't it? Oh, it should be like right here, I think. Yeah. Where they release a map in pieces over multiple releases. And they did that here as well.
Just like I thought. Svanir tracks. And the same scuff marks we saw on the keep. They had prisoners.
Might be your guildmates.
If I hadn't abandoned them at the keep.
We're here now. That's what matters.
Yes, no, that is what matters, I suppose. Though leaving them matters as well, Commander. Bram is right to have some negative emotions regarding that.
Snow's all churned here. One of the prisoners tried to put up a fight.
Well, that's good. I mean, good on him for that, right?
Bram, look. That lens we picked up is reacting to this area.
Raven. He's trying to show us something. Let's look around.
So, this whole, like, scepter thing, we pick up that scepter, it's got, like, a lens on it, and this lens has magical properties. It's essentially going to guide us through a big chunk of this story. In a sense, feels silly that we're just given this mechanism for success, like, right at the beginning of the story. Hey, now we just need to follow this lens. At the same time, it does function. Like, it works as a storytelling mechanism. It gives us the opportunity to experience the story in a way that's slightly different from what we've done before.
They're cowards. They're playing for the winning side. They'll get theirs in the end. Just like Krakatorik.
Olar, please, at least let me kill the mouthy one. No. Jormag wants them both alive. Now.
How is this? They betrayed Almora and Javi. Killed all those people.
Who are they?
My guildmates. My fault. If I had been there...
So much pain. He needs rest.
If you need some time to...
No. Raven is showing us how to find them. We need to keep going. We need to fix this.
All right, then. Let's keep going.
They kept going west. Where were the traders taking them?
Why is this happening? Listen to me. When we start moving again, I'll create a distraction. You run. We took our comms, but if you make it back to the keep, call the Pact Commander. Let me do it. You go. The Vigil needs you. order, Javi.
Olar has a scar on his left shoulder. Threw himself in front of a Svanir's sword to protect my flank. And now he's just slaughtering. I should have been there. I should have been there.
I know this isn't easy, but Almora and Javi might have escaped. We have to see what happens next.
I just want... I'm so tired.
They need us, Bram. We can find them, but we have to work together.
So one thing I do appreciate about the Whispers is that it's not, like I said, so it is getting more direct and overt than it was, like, say, down in the barracks. But I do appreciate that it's not like give up, right? It is more subtle than that. Using guilt and using fatigue versus, you know,
Fewer tracks.
a direct address.
They lost someone.
Javi got away?
Or they... Yeah, maybe Javi got away.
Nice trick you tried to pull back there. Raven would be proud.
Where did you take her?
Your general has killed her last dragon. What do we do with this one? The forest. There's a cave where Jorma can speak to her in peace.
Raven, show them the way.
Cave in the forest. That's where Javi is. And the lens must be reacting because of her. But what about Almora?
Let me help.
Stop.
Commander?
Let me in.
I said stop.
You hear it too, don't you? That voice.
It isn't Raven, is it?
Come on. We're almost there. It's just like you said. Javi needs us.
So here we're going to start looking real soon at the masteries for Icebrood Saga, because the first one was relevant to this point in the story, where you have to be able to, and I don't directly remember if you had to actually unlock it as a mastery before this story step or not. Oh yeah, we don't hardly, we don't have masteries for Icebrood Saga. Forgot about that too. Yeah. Oh man. Oh, but we do have Raven Bond, which is all we should need to advance through the story. So we're fine there. Looks like we also got some more where we just need the actual mastery points to unlock them. So this Raven attunement stuff is you know, utilized to advance through the story. All of this was really just about making the maps, you know, it's like quality of life for the maps, access to more loot, skills to kill enemies easier, and in that sense, very weak. The masteries for Icebrood Saga were very weak. It's only when we got to Drizzlewood Coast that we started seeing masteries that actually were substantive, and electromagnetic pulse and portable way station being related to electromagnetic pulse. Like, these things were actually somewhat useful, but for much of Icebrood Saga, if there are good things about Icebrood Saga, such as the story being a little bit better, then one of the drawbacks is the masteries really feel like largely useless for much of Icebrood Saga. And so when they said, hey, you're getting like expansion-like content, it didn't feel expansion-like in the sense that we didn't get elite specs, and the masteries really felt exceptionally poor. Like these green things here, this is related to the masteries. We build charges by grabbing those green things, and then we can unleash like special attacks, and I don't know. It to me, it just didn't feel all that meaningful.
I understand if you want me to handle this by myself.
The blood they spilled is on my people's hands. I'm Norn. It's It's my duty to make them answer for it.
So it's interesting that the commander.
Try the lens.
Yeah, I will. Thanks, Bram. It's interesting that the commander is, offers to do this without Bram because it was his guildmates. It shows an interesting. I'm not trying to throw a ton of shade at Arena here. I know I do that from time to time, but seriously, it shows an interesting philosophy and an interesting mentality. Because I feel like the inverse would be true. I feel like Bram would want to participate in this. So it's a very weird thing for the commander to say, "Hey, I can handle this if you want," versus Bram, I understand you want to handle this. You take point. Which to me would be much more intuitive in terms of behavior for someone in their situation. Someone who's made a living or has martial skills. All right, so we got Javi and then the guildmates here.
No, can't resist playing the hero, can you?
Wait, Bram Vowbreaker? Raven led you here?
Vowbreaker? Well, didn't you know? That's what they call you in the Shiver Peaks now.
I own my mistakes, Olar. Now it's your turn. I saw what you did. The Vigil were your people.
No, these are my people. The sons of Svanir were there when you weren't. Showed us the truth about Jormag.
No, this isn't...
Brothers, take them down.
Feel the fury.
So Bram should have like a bad nickname, and he should be reviled to some degree. Again, yeah, I'm not saying that because I don't like him as a character or like he's, I'm not saying Bram is trash. I'm saying that what the story has done to him essentially betraying his guild to return to the commander, should make him a reviled figure. That is appropriate. So for them to acknowledge that is great. I do wish that they put the commander in a position to take a little more responsibility for that.
Olar, please. We fought together, side by side. Don't do this.
I was a child then. Now I understand Jormag isn't the real enemy. The Dragon Killers are. You won't leave us again, Bram. You're going to stay forever.
Alright, Javi, should we get you untied? You look pretty unhappy with this whole being tied up thing. Jeez, those animations, man. Alright, hey, we'll take care of it. Here.
Almora, did you find her? Not yet, but she was the one who called us here, so she must be alive out there.
Called you? But the Svanir took our comms, so we couldn't call the Dragon Killer, they said. Our own people. All the male Norn. They turned on us. Let the sons of Svanir through our gate while we slept. Jormag
Whispered to them. Just like we're being whispered to now.
That voice, the one in the back of my mind, it's Jormag.
Javi, what did Jormag say to you?
That Svanir's blood runs through me. That it's my legend to complete his work. Help the Freyr take the region.
Your name is Jorah's daughter. Your legend is to finish her work, not his.
Javi, what is the Freyr?
The sons of Svanir's highest officer, chosen by Jormag. The Blizzard. The attack on the Keep. It's all his doing. They've had this region in a stranglehold since Almora arrived. The attacks never stop. And then there are the disappearances. If this goes on any longer, I don't know how we're going to survive.
Well, okay. The Freyr is the one leading the attacks, right? We stop him, we stop the Sons of Svanir.
Exactly. But he's protected in the Raven Sanctum. Somehow, he's using stolen Raven magic to seal himself inside. Before the attack, Almora and I were working on a way to enter the Sanctum using ancient Raven lenses.
Like the one that led us here.
Raven lenses reveal the spirit essence we leave behind, but it only works on Norn. I use that to guide you here, to me. We need 2 lenses to enter the Sanctum. The one you found was mine. The other one, Almora has it.
We gotta find her, Commander. If the Svanir have her, she's in danger. I'll search their camps.
Ritlock, Jory, I found Javi, but we need to form a search party for Amora, quickly.
Kree and I can check prisoner camps.
I think I discovered where Vigil soldiers are disappearing to. I'll keep following their trail. It may lead to Almora.
Good idea. I'll be there soon to help. And be careful, all of you. If you hear anything strange, don't listen.
Bring her back, Commander. Please.
Super helpful advice. If you hear anything strange,
What to do?
don't listen. Alright. Javi's got some more to say. I wasn't sure if asking for Raven's help would work, but finding the lens, following the trail here, it was his doing. He sees what Jormag is doing to the marches. So, Icebrood Saga is, much as Heart of Thorns was kind of racially aligned to the Sylvari, Path of Fire was racially aligned, really, to humans. Icebrood Saga is, and its story is racially aligned in its first half to Norn and its second half to Char. So they at least get a little love. I don't think we've ever had a story arc that's like racially aligned with the Asura, and I don't believe this upcoming expansion, like it's not promising to be that. It looks presumably like it would be closest to human, although I think they're trying to avoid any sort of racial alignment altogether. It is a shame the Asura haven't gotten any love in that capacity yet. So this first half being kind of racially aligned to the Norn, the spirits play a significant role. And really even all the way through Icebrood Saga, the spirits are relevant even after it shifts more towards a Char storyline. The Norn spirits are very important. I do enjoy them exploring that aspect of the story. It is super cool. Hey, what happened to the keep? Those traitors waited till nighttime, slit our sentries' throats, let the sons of Svanir through the gates, and killed my people in their sleep like cowards. We never had a chance. Brutal. That's rough. But they took you and Almora alive. They said Jormag wanted to talk to us. Right, so we get some very early indications here of like what Jormag's kind of thing is. You would have thought that like, Zaitan was fairly simple. Mordremoth though had some complexity and some higher thinking. And I've talked about this a number of times, kind of the different degrees that the dragons show this. Being the ice dragon, like that being his thing. And remember, Mordremoth's thing was plants and the mind. So is Jormag also the mind? Because he's really attacking aggressively with like that psychological warfare type stuff. I mean, we can talk about some of the failings there, but at the end of the day, it does manifest nicely. It probably does some things that they should have done or could have done with Mordremoth, with the mind being his domain, and they didn't do that. It would have been easy to see, whereas Ice, he would have just been brute force, but that's not the case. But we get an early indication here of kind of what Jormag's like, modus operandi is going to be, right? Like how is he going to go about business? The Raven Lens showed us your past. What is it exactly? It being the Raven Lens, not her past. Poorly written sentence. My theory is that they were created by the Raven as weapons against Jormag's minions back when we lived much further north. Those Raven shrines you see in the wilds, they react to the lens. Alright, cool. Do we have any questions left? I don't think so. Yeah. Alright. We got some leads. We're trying to find Almora. So let's start to run those leads down. Help Bram search the Sons of Svanir barracks. Help Marjorie search ritual sites. Help Ritlock and Krisha rescue prisoners. Matt, cool music. I mean, obviously, like it's like real horror movie-ish. But I like the way it manifests. Oh, are they going to do? They're going to do what's it called? Do we want to join them? I kind of want to join them. Bone Skinner. They're on their way to do Bone Skinner. Bone Skinner's pretty cool. Why don't we do it real fast? We got time. We got nothing but time. I got a lot of catching up to do.
Okay.
I didn't play for 2 weeks.
Here. We did it. We can finish this. Commander, Can you help clear the area?
Feel the fury.
One of the nice things about Bone Skinner is it has some unique drops. I don't know how what the drop rate is on those or how common they are. I did get one once. The scepter. Got the scepter once, which was cool. That was like an exciting thing to have happen. I was like, oh look, this. I don't know that they're cool skins. I don't actually use it, but it was fun to get it on drop. It's like it's always nice to get a thing that is like relatively difficult to obtain. Although I mean it can be bought on the trading post, but. Oh, there he is. Hello, Bone Skinner. I really like the appearance that they gave him as well. It feels very. It has a certain like Native American mythology. Villainous, or not villainous, but like evil spirit folklore kind of thing going on, which is pretty cool. All right, there we go. So it should pop up now. There he is. Would have been nice if we had electromagnetic pulse. Ah, we still got it. Ooh.
Wither. Soften him up. I feel good. Rip him up.
We didn't break it that time. I mean, we're gonna kill him quick enough, but we didn't break his break bar as much as we would have liked.
Great idea. Dead without you. Now let's get out of here. This place is cursed.
It is, actually. Like, this whole foresty area is cursed, which is super cool. I don't dislike this map. I probably would have... I would have liked it a lot more if it had not been for, like, two things. Three things, but one of them is a question of personal taste. The first one, which is a question of personal taste, is I don't like the snowy maps. I just don't. That's cool. The second one, kill Bram? I mean, I guess it's not a terrible idea. So yeah, not a fan of the snowy maps. Like, they're not aesthetically pleasing to me. The previous map, Grothmar Valley? Way more aesthetically pleasing than this. That's personal taste, though, right? The second thing is it was followed by Drizzlewood, which is like super good. So it lost its shine quickly, right? Like, there are two things that's really hard to do. One, it's really hard to be the guy who's immediately following like someone awesome. Or in this case, it's really hard to be the map that's following one that's super awesome. Or, well, not in this case, but like, to use the same kind of analogy for maps, right? Like, a map that's following one that everyone liked may not be liked as well. Or the one that immediately precedes one that's super liked, because then people are going to remember the one that was super liked. And that's the case with this one and Drizzlewood, right? Like, this one was fine, but Drizzlewood was better. The other thing is the meta for this half of the map, I don't think is very good. It doesn't feel that good, and it's like oddly, like, it's not complex, but it feels oddly complex. Like, it's not intuitive. Not a fan. The meta on the other side, the second half of this map is much better, and in the grand scheme of meta events, like, probably pretty good. It's not my favorite by any stretch of the imagination, but pretty good. Alright, we need to kill that guy.
Gonna cozy up with the spawn here the same way you did. He's using the prisoners as fuel. Stop him! Guess Vanguard taught you well, didn't he? That how he taught Ryland too?
I'm not the one who left.
Oh, that's not fair.
You abandoned all of us for a human sword.
Now is not the time for this.
It's 100% the time for this, Commander.
They'll have to hit my
Alright, so why do I like that whisper a lot? It's way cooler if the whisper says something that's true, right? And there's a good example of the whisper saying something that is true.
It's over. Kree.
Let's just search these tents.
Why did they disappear and come back, weirdos?
He's turned Icebrood! Keep him distracted while we free the prisoners!
They'll have to hit much harder.
That should be the end of him. For good this time. Didn't find any sign of Almora. We're going to keep checking prison camps.
You, still want me along?
Not a matter of want. We could use the help if you want to come along, Commander.
Don't I need to do something else? I think I need to do something else, Krisha and Ritlock. I have to find Marjorie and Bram. So you guys keep up the good work. Keep fighting the good fight. So interesting conversation there, lore-wise, right? Okay, so from a storytelling standpoint, like I like what was happening there, good things, etc., etc. But also from lore, it's really interesting because they're attacking each other for Ryland and how he turned out, and like, you know, Kree's like, Ritlock wasn't there, you abandoned us, and Ritlock's like, I had priorities and whatever, kind of giving her the air spiel. But there's what I believe to be a misconception within lore, which is that it is the norm for Char to completely give up their cubs. Like their cubs are completely raised by, collectively by their society within their Farrar and so forth. And I actually don't think that that is supported by the lore. I think we have a number of indications in the lore to suggest that, yes, they have a regimented culture where cubs are educated within the Farrars, but that they don't necessarily lose contact or lose family ties with their immediate family. Not only do... Working on it, Bram. Not only do Kree and Ritlock take us away from that, or Krisha, if you want to use her full name, take us away from that there, but also in the Char personal story, there are references to family, including, if you choose a particular storyline, references to the player character's father. And the fact that, he also had his issues. So the fact that there are parents who fail in Char culture also means that there are parents who succeed. Otherwise, the parents who fail would not be noticeable. Would not be worth talking about. It would not be worth talking, Kree and Ritlock talking about. It would not be worth the player character talking about in the Char personal storyline. There are a number of oversimplifications that players who don't really understand.
Those aren't your friends. It's Jormag. You're hallucinating.
Quit hallucinating, Bram.
Make them stop. I can't do this.
Yo, chill out, Bram. It's true, he could take the easy way out. It's a good point. There are a number, and I saw one in map chat the other day where these folks were just going on and on about what they thought the Char were or were not. And they were making all these statements about how Char culture worked, and a lot of it was completely wrong. There are also some incorrect assumptions about Sylvari culture and stuff like that as well.
You're safe.
It's like Jormag knew exactly how to... Next time I see... No sign of Almora here. I'm heading to the next camp. You could help if you want.
I really should find Marjorie, but thank you. Yeah, so I think that for the players who don't understand some of these dynamics, it's not like a huge thing, and I'm not saying that to like criticize them, because I've been playing the game for like a really long time, right? Since beta. I played in all the open betas. I did not play any of the closed betas. Were there closed betas? I don't recall. There probably were, but I did. I was playing on a laptop at that point in time when the game launched, so. Like, I didn't really have the technical capability to provide adequate feedback to the studio anyway for closed betas. My system just didn't justify that. Under any circumstances, almost 11 years of gameplay at this point helps me, appreciate like all these little cultural nuances. And there may even be some things that I have a little bit wrong. I can see how someone who's only been playing like 12, 18 months, something like that, would maybe not be able to fully appreciate some of that stuff. So not their fault, and not a slight against them. It's just the reality that there are some almost like stereotypes about all the races in Guild Wars 2 that aren't necessarily accurate. We actually need to get over here and soak up this story.
I followed the trail of missing Vigil soldiers, and it leads to this.
Then Almora could be here.
We need to free these captives first.
Well, I'm working on it. Working on it, Margie. Alright, let's free some of these captives. I need a lot more mastery points. I may even... we may make a point of trying to grab some mastery points. That's another really interesting thing about the Icebrood Saga masteries. And something that I find to be a big turnoff with Icebrood Saga. So, Path of Fire and Heart of Thorns, and later End of Dragons, all give you a lot of options in terms of different ways to earn mastery points so that you can get the masteries that you want. Icebrood Saga, it's very difficult to get all the Icebrood Saga masteries. In my opinion. Now, maybe other folks would strongly disagree and be like, oh man, all you gotta do is do the strikes a whole bunch. Well, that's fine if you work under the assumption that most Guild Wars 2 players play strikes a lot, which I think would be an erroneous assumption. I do not play strikes a lot. On my main account, the only masteries that I don't have are a handful of Icebrood Saga ones. I think I'm at 445 out of 455 on my mastery, or maybe no 450. I think out of 455. So I'm just missing one thing, but I need 3 or 4 more mastery points, and that's dependent right now on me finishing some more strikes, which is kind of mildly annoying. I just haven't got around to doing it. Under any circumstances, yes, Icebrood Saga made it a lot more difficult to get master points. And I think that doesn't necessarily work well for Icebrood Saga. I think it's probably pretty off-putting. Now, fortunately, if you don't care about the number, if you don't feel the need to see 455 or whatever it's going to be after the next little mini expansion, 475 or something probably in that ballpark. If you don't feel the need to see that number, then it doesn't matter, because the masteries in Icebrood Saga are junk anyway, so you're not really missing anything by not getting them. But if your ego is ever so slightly wounded by the fact that there are folks running around there with 455 and you got 450, then I suppose it's something that's relevant to you. It is ever so slightly relevant to me. I don't care a lot, but I kind of wish I just had that 455.
Jory, that's not Belinda. It's Jormag. You saw what happened to the captives. It's the same
I ain't gonna
trick.
stand there and fight myself.
I could outrun a centaur. No. I tried.
They'll have to hit much harder. I can save her this time. Let me save her. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Don't let Jormag get to you. It's not real. It's not real.
I do think Marjorie's voice actor does a really good job here with this. And for that reason, maybe it's because of the voice acting, that that Marjorie's battle with the Whisper right here feels even more tangible than like Bram's.
It wasn't real. It wasn't real. It wasn't real.
Are you okay?
No. But don't worry about me. There's a note here. If you find this, meet me in the place where the raven can't fly.
Where the raven can't fly? What does that mean?
It's for me. Our code for Dark Rhyme Delves. That means Almora escaped. She's a Dark Rhyme Delves. I know it. Get her back, Commander.
All right, so Dark Rhyme Delves obviously being a fractal. Now we're not going to do the fractal here. It's unnecessary for the story, and it's not accessible like from the map here or anything. It's not incorporated into the story. We simply get a reference to the fractal here. If I remember correctly, this chapter is also when they released that fractal. It seems to me that would be about the right timing, and it would make sense then for them to like advertise the fractal in a little way in the story. It is a pretty good fractal. That has really nothing to do with the story here, but just my personal opinion. I think it's a pretty solid fractal. It's not my favorite by any stretch of the imagination. I actually like a lot of the original ones to this day. My personal opinion is the fractals are kind of great when they're pretty simple and straightforward. The overly complicated ones turn me off. So like Siren's Reef is a big turn off for me. Was it Sunqua Peaks, right? Sunqua Vale is a something else. Is it a raid wing or is it a map in the first Guild Wars? I don't remember. But Sunqua Peaks is the fractal, right? That one, Siren's Reef, to some degree Twilight Oasis. Those kind of turn me off. Although Twilight Oasis isn't terrible. I haven't even tried the new one yet. I was meaning to do it like right after it was released, and then I forgot. And then I had to take 2 weeks off. So, I don't know. One of these days I'll do it. Alright, Dark Rhyme Delves. So you see here we just have this collapsed area. Presumably the entrance to Dark Rhyme Delves, no longer accessible. Whereas the fractal leads us into, the actual Dark Rhyme Delves.
This is her. Oh.
Yes, this is her sword, right? Standard Vigil Greatsword. So actually it could be any Vigil, but we're going to say it's her sword. And there we go. We found out more. Which is sad, right?
I found the Raven Lens. And Almora.
Is she hurt? Let me talk to her.
She didn't make it.
Oh. How?
There are slash marks. And it looks like she's been gone for a while. Someone went to the trouble
Gross.
of burying her.
Sons of Svanir wouldn't bother. Whoever it was found her like that before you did.
Vanguard?
Everything she did. The battle she's been through. She died alone. No warrior should die alone. I'll send someone to bring her home. Where she belongs. Take the lens and meet me at the keep.
And look around. I want to know if he was there when she... If he was there for her.
Aren't you tired? Regroup at the keep, everyone. We have to talk.
All right, so oh yeah, and she's got the other lens here, which we can kind of half see it. So there, it looks like a scepter, but then it's got that lens under there. You
I'll
know,
find whoever did this. I promise.
is it available as a skin? It should have been. If they didn't,
Shiny.
they messed up because it should have been. All right, here's an example of like the stupid masteries and like how they're utilized. You see this bluey glowness around this chest here. I'm not going to be able to get that chest because I haven't got that mastery yet. Oh, I thought it was actually knock me back. It didn't knock me back, but it doesn't allow me to open it. Yeah, I thought it actually knocked me back. Huh. Who cares? Honestly.
Dragon protects me.
I don't care. And I don't really want to fight that guy, but it looks like we're going to walk right through the middle of him. Guess we'll go around. So Javi says, warrior shouldn't have to die alone. I mean, I guess what we can say though is she died fighting, which I assume is how Almora would want to go. All right. She might have lost, but she was, she didn't die in her bed, and that should be gratifying to Almora. Whether or not it is, we don't know.
Keep your eyes open. You don't know what you'll find. Move out.
Are they actually inside of here? I forgot. Yeah, it looks that way.
Commander, thank you for finding her.
I don't get how this happened.
The Svanir caught up with her long before we arrived. Whoever called us here, it wasn't Almora.
Jormag.
As commanding officer of the Keep, it's my job to protect the people I have left. We've got to take down the Freynir. We have both Raven lenses now. That means we can enter the Raven Sanctum. I can meet you there and guide you through the temple. It's not easy to navigate.
Brimstone and I are coming with you.
I want to be there for Almora.
Me too.
I think I need to stay here. I don't feel in control of myself right now.
It's okay. Help the Vigil get back on their feet.
We'll meet you at the Sanctum, Commander.
So I don't know if is this something I can actually? I got one. Oh, I guess I can. Sure, why not? Might as well use it for something. All right. Oh, let's take a look at the Raven. We can see it really good here. That's pretty nifty. I like it with like the Raven thing right here. That's a nice touch. Is it a thing? Raven. Apparently not. These are pretty cool skins. I have. Oh, they're not as expensive as I thought they were. Oh, we can't preview them because it's a reliquary, not the actual thing. They are pretty slick. I like them. Maybe I'll buy them on my main account. I didn't realize they were that cheap. I thought they were a lot more expensive. I guess they've been going down in price as people get them on drop. Bram. All right, I'm done talking about like various skins. What do you want to talk about in relation to the story, buddy?
Jormag's right. When things get tough, I run. I left my guildmates behind. I've even left you behind. Wolf would be ashamed.
You're not running now.
No, your pack deserves better. I'm working on it.
So I'm kind of like, talking about how the commander is, giving Bram a pass when he should feel some contrition. And Bram should feel some contrition. I stand by that. I guess, though, the commander is kind of doing the right thing and encouraging him and picking him up. If anything, maybe the commander should take some responsibility and say, I pulled you away and I'm partially to blame for this. But, of course, the commander doesn't do that because the commander's a piece of garbage.
Go ahead, Commander. I'll meet you there with the other Raven lens. Let's do this for Almora.
You're already sounding like the leader she'd want you to be. Probably better than you, Commander. Me taking over Jorah's Keep wasn't supposed to happen for years. I don't feel ready. And with the Vigil stationed here torn apart, it'll be a long time before we bounce back. Before I bounce back. Do we get more Javi later? I believe we do. Like, not only in Icebrood Saga, I think she makes a brief appearance in End of Dragons, if I'm not mistaken. We'll have to see when the time comes.
Kree,
said some stuff back there, and I just...
I know, but I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Their dynamic is throughout all of Icebrood Saga. Their dynamic's pretty good. It's not like the worst writing arena that's ever engaged in, by any stretch of the imagination. Marjorie.
Kaz? Kaz, please pick up. I need you.
Aww.
Are you okay?
Been through worse.
That doesn't matter.
I'll be fine. Don't worry about me.
Doesn't matter? It's interesting. Interesting. Been through worse. Doesn't matter. I'm undecided on how I feel about that. I got a bunch of crap.
Thank you.
Gotta figure out what to do with that crap. Ton of skins here, by the way. Got anything for sale? Oh, you know, so the map currency here can be traded for like other currencies. So this is another option for people who are struggling to get currencies for Skyscale. Also, you can't get stuff to flip for gold with the Eternal Ice Shards here, but you can flip it for this stuff and then use this stuff to flip for gold by buying like the material chests or whatever there. Some people like farm that to make that happen. Like for some folks, that is a mechanism for making gold. It's not ever been a mechanism that I tried for making gold, but I've never really been about farming gold. Like from time to time, I will have a goal of reaching a certain amount of gold, but like doing some kind of weird thing over and over and over again, whatever that thing is. I shouldn't even say a weird thing. Doing any given thing repeatedly to generate gold has like never really been my style. The closest I would say I come is like, you know, if I do Dungeon Frequenter to generate gold. I think dungeons are still a pretty viable mechanism for generating gold too. It's a shame more people don't think so. Maybe dungeons would be a lot more active. Hopefully, so I hadn't talked about this on like any streamer video or anything yet. Apparently there's going to be PvE legendary armor. Imagine my surprise.
If we use both lenses, the entrance to the sanctum should react. Commander, I should warn you, this sanctum is meant to be a test for Raven Havrunes, a trial. I've never entered, but I've heard stories. Don't always trust your eyes.
I'm excited for it. This is gonna be cool. Yeah. So the open world PvE legendary armor. I assume that's going to involve some dungeon tokens. So maybe we'll see the return of dungeons here soon. I would be surprised, in fact, if it doesn't involve... They're missing a trick if it doesn't involve dungeon tokens, because it's a great opportunity for them to re-energize dungeons. I also hope that it's a massive material sink and gold sink, because the game needs that.
Part of the test. Stick together.
Okay, which way do we go? I have no idea where I'm going, Javi. You guys with me? So this is kind of a fun maze. Like this is kind of cool. I like a lot of things in this instance.
Show me your mind.
Remember, it's a trial, a test of your worth.
A mortally wounded man lies beneath a tree. Without help, he will die. Wild beasts close in, eager for more. Healers are nearby. They are unarmed and unaware of the wounded man or the beasts. You summon a flock of ravens for aid. What will the ravens do?
Make your choice at the totem.
All right. So we're gonna have a couple choices here on what the ravens do. Home slice, injured, right here. Wolves are gonna get him. These healers over here could potentially help, but they don't know about any of this, and they are unarmed. What will the ravens do? Drive the beasts away from the healers? Lead the healers to the wounded man. Let's go ahead and address the beast as the immediate threat.
Interesting. You choose to eliminate the attacking beasts. The immediate danger is gone, and the healers are safe. They never find the wounded man. Their safety comes at the expense of his life. Is that what you intended?
Hey man, life's hard.
The trial continues.
I feel like I didn't make the right choice.
There isn't a right choice, Commander. That's what the Raven Spirit is about. That's why we choose to follow it.
I can get on board with that. I can get on board with Raven being that sort of thing. Alright. We need to follow that.
Javi, how much farther do we have? Javi?
Why couldn't you save her?
She died alone.
Did you even try?
Seeker of wisdom. A fire spreads through Tyria's greatest...
Where did our friends go?
Thousands of books turn to ash as the flames leap higher. Scholar cries, racked with turmoil. Two books lie on opposite ends of the room. The first is a detailed record of Tyria's history before human life. There are no other copies. The second is a book of arcane spells that could turn the tide against the dragons. It is the only one of its kind. The scholar can only save one book. Which does she save?
Alright, so our two choices are History of the Past or Key to Defeat the Dragons. For me, this one's kind of a no-brainer, but of course it does. You know, the Raven's still going to have something to say about it no matter what you choose. Interesting, so we can definitely see where they took assets from Path of Fire and incorporated them here. And yet it doesn't feel out of place because of the scenario that they give us and you know, the fact that it's all kind of an illusion. Alright, so we want the Spell Tome to defeat the dragons.
You value a winning hand, knowledge of the ages. Does this prove the cycle? I'm beginning to get a feel for you, Seeker. The trial continues.
Are we still alone? We are still alone. So the first time, like, I experienced that, like, I thought it was cool. Like, I really enjoyed that.
All of us.
We sacrificed for you.
Maureen sacrificed for you.
You'll never be enough.
Who do you think you are?
You just make everything worse.
We can't trust you, can we?
Just give up.
Stop it!
So here's where the whispers get a little heavy-handed. But at the same time, still interesting stuff. Am I just lost, or... Am I? Or could I not go this way before because of... Ah, my friends.
Should be coming up on the last one.
You're back.
Commander, you okay?
Where were you?
I'm still getting poisoned.
We've been here the whole time. You went quiet for a while.
This place is...
I know, but we're almost done.
So I almost like that better. Versus them being, like, mysteriously transported away and then transported back. The illusion that they were gone and us not being able to realize that they were there with us the whole time is like better. At least, you know, for me.
Seeker of the beyond. A plague sweeps the capital city, claiming countless victims. Both the old queen and the young prince have fallen ill. The queen is benevolent and wise, and she has ruled fairly for decades, but her age is showing. The prince is her only child. He's very young and prone to petulance. If one dies, the other will make a full recovery. You must guide one of their souls to the afterlife. Choose.
So this is a very interesting one. Of the three kind of tests it gives us, I find this one to be by far the most interesting. So the queen is better prepared to rule right now. The prince, and I think the key for me here is that the prince has been, let's see, prone to petulance. Well, if you're like the leader of a kingdom or an empire or whatever, prone to petulance can be a real problem. Petulance, when you have that kind of power, results in like severe abuses, right? At the same time, if we say, well, that means we need the queen, we are consigning a child to death, which is pretty hardcore, right? So our first two choices were to deal with the immediate and deal with the long term later. So the immediate requires us to have a capable ruler. We're gonna allow the prince to die, which makes us a real jerk.
You choose the safety of what you know. The queen continues her reign, but one day she will die with no successor. The kingdom will be thrown into turmoil as a stranger takes the throne. Is your choice truly safe?
It's a good question.
You have shown me who you are. Your trial is complete.
So as a result, we got a blessing here. Invocation of midday. That's one of three, as you can see. The achievement there. Man, I think the trials here. I think this is a really well done instance. Am I just playing going the wrong way? No, I don't think so. Yeah, we're good.
Obstacles in your way, Dragon Killer. But we underestimated you. Our eyes have opened. We watch. We don't repeat mistakes.
And of course, we kick it up.
This is the inner sanctum. Where are the Raven shrines? Where are the attendants? Commander, the ice pillars. They're trapped. We need to break them.
I've been called to something greater. And it begins with you.
Alright. So, this is, if I'm not mistaken, a fractal as well.
Knock him down. It should stop the incantation.
Ah, there he is.
Feel the fury. Feel the fury. Strength of the pack.
You fought so hard. But your long day has ended. It's
Still have to
time
hit much harder.
to sleep beneath the stars.
Time to do something. Feel the fury.
Lost track of where he went.
We heal as one.
Yeah, there he is. Well, we're not going to get the achievement for finding him.
Feel the fury.
It's alright, not something we need either. the grand scheme of things.
Yes! The night draws closer!
Alright, that should just about be it for the Frenier.
It's really over. The attacks, the disappearances.
You can start to rebuild.
I know the Sons of Svanir won't leave without a fight, but now we can... No.
You still hear it too, don't you?
Let me help.
Champion, it's time I treat you with the respect you deserve. Speak face to face.
That voice.
The air is thick with change. I feel it, even as I dream beneath the ice.
Jormak.
You feel me as you feared Kralkatori. That is natural. But ice fortifies. Ice protects. All this war, all this pain, Orin wants to end it. And I can help her. I want to help her. Terrible things lurk just beyond the horizon. But you can bring eternal peace to our world. In time, you'll realize you with me. And when you do, I'll be waiting.
So, that calm from Almora, Jormak was using...
Oh, spirits.
What now?
We help the Vigil get back on their feet. For now, we stay in the marches.
Stay? What about Bangar? It's clear Jormak's already gotten to him. Who do you think convinced him he could have his own Elder Dragon?
Don't make excuses for him.
We still need a way through the mountains. You and Ritlock scout for a path.
We can do that.
I'll head back to the keep. There may not be many of us left, but we'll rebuild. We owe it to them. To Almora.
Commander, about what Jormak said. We're not gonna take it seriously, right?
Right. Another personal victory. And that's that.
All right, so what Bram is referring to there is the suggestion that, that Jormag is not necessarily a foe. When Bram says not take it seriously, that's what he's referring to. So I really like this whole instance, and I particularly like here after we defeat the Freyr, which that fight's fine. I'm not, in love with it, but I also don't think it's terrible. But what comes after, where the Freyr's corpse, essentially, is used by Jormag to speak through it, and then, of course, they realize that means that the same was being done with Almora's corpse when we get the call from Almora. I really like all that. I really like it a lot. I think it's super cool. Really appreciate what they were trying to do there. All right. So what we are going to do here is we are going to insert a video break. We're going to keep going through Icebrood Saga, but we're going to break these videos up. So at this point, we have come up here to the north to link up with Javi and Almora, only to discover that Bram's former guildmates have turned against us, and Jormag is wreaking havoc up here by convincing people to essentially to ally with him. So that lends us some perspective on what Bangar's got going on. But it also cost us Almora. She is now dead, and we realize that our adversary at this point is Jormag as much as it is Bangar. Now with the loss of Almora, more devastation to the Pact, and it being unclear where Bangar is, we're trying to figure out what to do next, right? So that's where we leave off here. When we return, in the next video, and as we continue to play forward today, we're going to continue to move through Icebrood Saga, try and pick up the trail of Bangar and figure out what's going on with Jormag. So that's where we'll pick it up in the next video. Thanks.